All right, I just got done talking with Ariel, and Ariel made a bigger deal about this than I did, and I appreciated it. I appreciated it very much. And Ariel got pushback from you, the audience. Now, I'm talking about John Cena versus Gunther. The time honored tradition of passing the torch, of doing the job. Now, I do respect tradition and I do respect John Cena for doing that. I mean, it was very much not what he would have wanted to do. So for him to show up and make the walk, that's great. The time honored tradition is not bulletproof. The time honored tradition ties back right here in Portland, Oregon to the Don Cost days and Portland wrestling. And somebody would come through the territory. You'd have the guy locked up on a 3-week contract, or you'd have him for 8 dates, let's say. And it could be a big star. It could be Ric Flair. And before he leaves town, Ric Flair will do the job for Rip Oliver, or he'll do it to Billy Jack Haynes. He'll do it to the grappler, just for example. Okay, from a business standpoint, in 1975, you're talking about very different models. The term social media did not exist. The network Peacock was not created. It was a live house only. And the live house still stuck to kayfabe, had tremendous debates on whether professional wrestling was a cooperation or a competition. And popular opinion at that time, for the people that went to the shows, greatly popular opinion, over 90% leaned towards it was a competition. Now, I'm just sharing that with you because when you talk about the time-honored tradition, everything changed as soon as they went to television, or at least everything had the right to change. I'll give you one example, but Vince McMahon came in as soon as they got a TV deal, and he goes, anything that's ever happened, forget it. We start over today. And like, just for example, Andre the Giant had never been slammed. Well, he'd never been slammed on television because they had never been on television. So they started that storyline. Just for example, guys who had never lost were undefeated. Even if they'd been pinned 1, 2, 3 the Saturday before. It was a clean slate because it was a different model. Now, I do get that they largely do follow that, but I think that they follow that to a fault. The Undertaker never should have gone under Brock Lesnar. It was absolutely not needed. It was believed that it helped the business, and it was believed that it was needed. I respect and appreciate that, but if we could go back in time, the Undertaker, for the appearances that he made, had he gone over Brock, would have squared the balance sheet for him going under Brock. It was not needed. Now, John Cena. And here's the big deal with what Cena did. Here's the big deal. Is he didn't lose once per the rules of wrestling. He lost twice. That isn't an overly big deal, except for the fact that he doesn't know it. Now, this entire thing is an artistic display that is open to interpretation. It's nothing more than that. But I'm going to share my interpretation, because this was not like John was the good little soldier. I know that's the way they would really like to tell the story, that John was the good little soldier and he passed the torch to Gunther. Well, no, John was smiling at the end of the match. John knew where the cameras were. He was smiling and giving a signal to the crowd. So he goes in the back, he agrees with the booker, he agrees with Gunther, he goes out on live TV as though he's the good soldier, but then he went into business for himself. Now, you might think that's a small deal. It's not. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal that he smiled to the camera, which was not good for the crowd, for Gunther, or for the business. He did that solely for himself. So he now loses the right, artistically, he loses the right to argue that he was just following the business and the traditions of which he came up in and he respected. He loses that right. Now we got to look at what happened. He gave up. The guy that never quits quit. He gave up. But he lost consciousness. Now, here's another piece that didn't have to happen. All he has to do is tap. The music hits, it's Gunther's moment, Cena rolls out of the ring. And we have had guys historically that have a very hard time doing that, to the point that Shawn Michaels had to tell Bret Hart, get out of here. The match was over, Shawn's got the belt, and Bret's in the ring trying to celebrate with him. And Shawn literally yells at Bret and says, get out of, this is my moment. Go! And Bret then had to leave and get out of the ring, and then Shawn could have his moment. Now, whether he was right or wrong to do that, I'm just sharing with you that this is all Cena needs to do. Tap, roll out of the ring, fade to black, roll the credits, spotlights on Gunther. If that, in fact, is your intent, and that is what you would like to leave as your lasting memory, that you had the intent to fully serve the next generation, but that isn't what happened. That's not true. And that isn't true, and that argument is lit in flames the moment Cena smiles into the camera. So now we have an issue of no longer intent, but we have an issue of, okay, what happened? And John Cena, I believe, this is the part where I have to guess, John Cena is not a legitimate tough guy. He doesn't pretend to be a legitimate tough guy. He is not a locker room enforcer. He is not a shooter. I do not judge him for not being a tough guy. I'm not insulting him. I'm just telling you that he is such a non-tough guy that he doesn't even know the rules amongst tough guys. So somebody came to him in the back that knew, this is my guess, this is my interpretation, but it's the same one that Ariel has that is being pushed back by many of the audience members. Somebody came to him and told him, after you tap, lose consciousness. Because the sign of losing consciousness means that you never gave up. You stayed until the bitter end. The problem is you cancel that out with the tap. Now, the rules of wrestling, if you lose consciousness, similar to being pinfall, 1, 2, 3, you not only lose the match, but the championship can actually change hands. Like within the nuances of wrestling, it's not like a count out or a disqualification where you could lose the match, but the belt stays with you. It's a loss. It's the same level loss as being pinned 1, 2, 3. So John taps, then loses consciousness while smiling to the camera. So somebody set John up in the back to make him look like a fool, to not only lose, but to lose twice. John didn't really want to do it, which is why he smiles to the camera. He goes into business for himself and gives a wink to his audience members. But that's a problem. You now lose the high ground of saying, I did what was best for business. You lose that ability. And that's why this was such a mistake. That's why this was not a loss or a double loss. It was a triple loss. And that was not necessary.